Everybody. It's time for another installment of my teaching on Elijah. This will be part 15, and I'll call it The Death of the Son of Ahab. Then Moab rebelled against Israel after the death of Ahab, and Ahaziah fell through a lattice in his upper chamber that was in Samaria, and was sick. And he sent messengers and said unto them, Go inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron, whether I shall recover of this disease. But the angel of the Lord said to Elijah the Tishbite, Arise and go up to meet the messengers of the king of Samaria, and say unto them, Is it not because there's not a God in Israel that you go to inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron? Now therefore, thus saith the Lord, You shall not come down from that bed on which you are gone up, but shall surely die. And Elijah departed, and when the messengers came back unto him, he said unto them, Why are you now turned back? And they said unto him, There came a man up to meet us, and said unto us, Go turn again unto the king that sent you, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord, Is it not because there's not a God in Israel, that you send to inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron? Therefore you shall not come down from that bed on which you are gone up, but you will surely die. 2 Kings 1 through 6. First of all, we see that the Moabites rebelled. The gains given to Israel by the Davidic conquests, piece by piece, were being dismantled. The vassal states, Ammon, Moab, and Edom, and others, conquered and subdued by David, were now able to break free from Israel's grip, for the kingdom was in deep decline. Secondly, there's a parallel between the beginning of the book of 1 Kings and the opening of 2 Kings. Both feature a king in a sickbed. King David is old, weak, and literally can't warm himself. He's dying, and there's a struggle for his succession among his sons. But 2 King also begins with a badly injured king, Ahaziah, the son of Ahab and Jezebel. He too is badly injured and in bed, dying. This time there is no struggle. Instead, he has settled on a course of action to send messengers to Ekron in the area of the Philistines, where there was a temple to Beelzebub, the Phoenician deity. This is an illustration of the severe decline of Israel. It is helpful to put things in perspective to understand this story in its larger conquests. The breakaway kingdom of Israel apostatized immediately under Jeroboam. He set up a state religion and the two altars of golden calves in Dan and Bethel. But at least in name, Israel was still offering worship to the right God, albeit in an idolatrous manner. But with Ahab and Jezebel, Israel is led even further away into the worship of Jezebel's gods, Baal and Ashtaroth. This is part of the meaning of the war on Mount Carmel, in which Baal was discredited, his priests destroyed, and the nation backed away for the time being from complete Baalism. For the rest of his reign, Ahab tottered between Yahweh and his own self-will. Ahab's son represents a new administration, and from the very start it became obvious he was all in for Baal. For the king of Israel to consult with Beelzebub, which literally means the Lord of the Flies, was a direct affront to Yahweh and proof that Ahaziah had received none of the lessons of his father's life. Viewed in this manner, the royal embassy sent to Ekron to consult the fly god was really a challenge to Jehovah, whose prophet Elijah was in the land, and as such it must bring the sharpest punishment to all involved in it. It was fitting, so to speak, that in contrast to the messengers of the earthly king, Jehovah should commission his angel, that is, his messenger, and through him bid his prophet defeat the object of Ahaziah's mission. This from Edersheim, that last paragraph, Old Testament history. Ahaziah would not recover. He would never rise out of the bed he was confined to. Beelzebub could never help him, but like his father, even to the end, he wanted to prop himself up and act as though he was in charge. So he sent out parties to arrest the prophet Elijah. There was going to be another showdown on Mount Carmel. The nation would be given another demonstration of whose was the power and the glory. Then the king sent him a captain of 50 with his 50. And he went up to him, and behold, he sat on the top of a hill. And he spoke unto him, You man of God, the king has said, Come down. And Elijah answered and said to the captain of 50, If I be a man of God, then let fire come down from heaven, and consume thee and thy 50. And there came down fire from heaven, and consumed him and his 50. Again he also sent another captain of 50 with his 50. And he answered and said unto him, O man of God, thus hath the king said, Come down quickly. And Elijah answered and said unto him, If I be a man of God, let fire come down from heaven, and consume thee and thy 50. And the fire of God came down from heaven, and consumed him and his 50. 2 Kings 1, 9-12. Once again, fire comes down from heaven in answer to prayer and verification of Elijah's calling in the sight of the apostate people. When iniquity reaches its final apex, and the time comes for the final demonstration of divine power to this apostate planet, this same manifestation will be granted to God's 2 witnesses. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire will proceed out of their mouth and devour their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. Revelation 11, 3-5. In the future, as in this story here, the answer is of necessity severe. God's authority has been challenged openly by the king of Israel. There must come a public and absolute answer from on high. The 100 smoldering corpses laying on the ground, smoke rising from the badly burned former soldiers, 2 companies worth of them. And I quote, And he sent again a captain of the third 50 with his 50. And the third captain of 50 went up and came and fell on his knees before Elijah and besought him and said unto him, O man of God, I pray thee, let my life and the life of these 50 thy servants be precious in thy sight. Behold, there came fire down from heaven and burned up the 2 captains of the former 50s with their 50s. Therefore, let my life now be precious in thy sight. And the angel of the Lord said unto Elijah, Go down with him, be not afraid of him. And he arose and went down with him unto the king. 2 Kings 1, 13-15. The third captain takes a different approach than the defiance of the previous 2. He now knew who God was, and that he feared the God of Azariah, that he feared the God whose power he begged that he and his company be saved from. Therefore Elijah came with him to the sick and dying king. The rest is simply told. The rest of this testimony is very simply told. The arresting party arrived with Elijah, who didn't back down on his message to the king at all. To paraphrase, You have worshipped the Lord of the flies, yet there is a God in Israel whom you have denied and disowned. You will die. Ahaziah left no son, so his brother Jehoram took his place, who was also the son of Jezebel and Ahab. Shalom, everybody.